Call the meeting of the fiscal court to order. Glad to see everybody here today. We only scheduled one meeting for December, which is what we normally do. However, if things come up, if we have to get together, we hope we don't, but we will meet again. But I welcome all of you here. Before we begin, I think all of you know that Marshall County lost a dear friend and former county commissioner last month. Gordon Hargrove served this county for 30 years as magistrate and county commissioner. Not only was he a colleague, he was a dear friend. And I'm going to miss Gordo a lot, particularly his phone calls. Gordo was always upbeat. He would call us and kind of make me smile even when we were having a tough go. But we're sure going to miss him. He served this county well. We have several guests that have asked to appear before the court this morning. First, Tony Henson, our PVA. Tony?
I'd like to talk about Chelsea Edwards. The court has been nice enough to let her work in a part-time capacity in the PVA office for the past several months. We started out with her in the back, kind of just doing simple data entry. And if you walk over there today, you'll see that she's actually working on the front counter. So she has exceeded every expectation that I had in the office, and it's been very valuable, especially since we've been shorthanded. For the past 3 years, Sandra Dima and myself have been working on a new piece of software to switch in the PVA office. For about the past year of that, we've been trying to do the data transfer. It's been very slow and very painful, but we've kind of set the end of February as being the do or die date of making the transfer over. I would ask that the court consider moving Chelsea from a part-time employee, which is 2.5 days a week, to a temporary full-time or seasonal, whichever way needs to be designated, working 5 days a week until the end of February, at which point she would revert back to her 2.5 days a week status. I've talked with the treasurer about it, and the money is already budgeted to allow this to happen. Initially, she was budgeted for 3 days a week. I think due to an auditor concern, that had to be moved back to 2.5 days, so there was some money to play with there that would let this happen. So I'd ask that it be effective immediately and run through the end of February.
You heard the request of our PVA, Mr. Henson. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no.
Judge, I had one question.
Oh, okay.
Is this gonna be a seasonal?
Yeah, it's just temporary through February.
Okay.
And then
So
she'll
be
go back
classified
to her.
seasonal. That's all right, Jeff?
Go,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, all right is in.
As in, we don't have to pay any benefits? Is that?
No.
Just should we call her seasonal?
Right.
Go
You're
back to, okay.
exactly. She'll go
Well,
back to the end
not
of February.
seasonal, but temporary.
Temporary.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Josh Tubbs.
Thank you, Judge. Some time ago, the county was awarded roughly $157,000 from the Delta Regional Authority for the McFarland Road Improvement Project in Calvert City, there in the Riverport corridor. Recently, some money's been made available through the Waterways Committee and the Kentucky Riverport Investment Program. There was a call for projects. I studied the projects and the criteria and really at that time determined the first round that we didn't qualify. We just didn't have a project that fit the criteria. However, there were some funds left over, about $95,000 that was left, so they did a second call for projects. I again touched base with the cabinet. They said to go ahead and apply. What I would like the court to do today is just basically to inform you all of what I'm doing. I'm going to use the Delta Regional Authority funds as a match for the Kentucky Riverport Investment Project. I'm going to apply for $95,000, and this would be to, Russell help me, this would be for the asphalt portion, 3,500 feet of McFarland Road there in Calvert City in our Riverport corridor. The DRA funds would be used to widen grade, bring up some spots, and then the KRI funds would be used as the asphalt base and surface of that road. It won't do the whole road, but it'll give us a little bit of a head start on that project. So with your all's approval, I'd like to get that in today. I've been working with Russell. I've got the application complete, just need to get it sent off.
All right, you've heard the request of our county planner, Josh Stubbs. What's your pleasure? Have a motion, is there a second? Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Bob Gifford.
Yes, sir. First off, Judge, I wanted to update the court on our application for an additional $75,000 for the Brewer Pumping Station. They sent the original memorandum of agreement. The judge has signed it. I sent it back. They have to go back through our financials again, so we're probably looking at another month. You know, in Frankfurt, not much gets done between Christmas and New Year's. Everybody's on vacation. But we'll have that. I've not told the city and the district to proceed until I have the money in the bank. So it delays us a little bit, but not very much at all. The sanitation district number 1, I think I've informed you all. The Delta Regional money, we've made the additional application to the state revolving loan fund for the continuation of that project for a total of $525,000. We're looking at possibly taking the old plant that's there, because their flow is a lot less than what the size plant they have now. We could save some money by rehabbing that other plant and then keeping the larger plant on hand in case there's ever growth in that area that we would need it, and we could rehab at that time. So that's our plans thus far. I've also submitted the budget for North Marshall Water District. According to statute, we are to submit this to the board prior to us expending any funds in our fiscal year. Basically, our income is going to be somewhere around $1.5 million. And not to go through everything, but bottom line is this: the district will be able to fund about $96,000 to the good in a depreciation fund by the end of the year. That's kind of it in a nutshell. We also have a $3.5 million project that's pending with rural development, that those costs will also be absorbed within this budget. It's built in to pay for that. How we're doing that is we're refinancing some existing debt and stretch it out for a little bit longer term, but we're still doing a $3.5 million project without any rate of increase whatsoever. And I also brought Chairman Miller. The district board has made many changes, and I've given you all a list of those, and I think that you might want to address any questions that you have.
Good morning. I'm here for the first time to report that North Marshall Water District, which used to be the paper all the time, is not the paper anymore. And one of the reasons is that things are going very well. Financially, 2012 and 2013, we expect, are very positive in terms of finances. Over the past 18 months, we've cut 8% or $100,000 in expenses out there. And that's allowed us to do a bunch of things. Most of the savings came from going through everything from $100,000 contracts to our $10 contracts. We have cut and eliminated and renegotiated contracts. I have to give a major credit to that to Mr. Gifford. You all know Mr. Gifford. And he's been an excellent person to have in this position at this time. By all these savings, it has allowed us to do a couple things. And I found that this is a very popular thing with the people in Marshall County. We have paid off our short-term debt, which I didn't realize that was such a big issue, but talking with people, that's a big issue. And So everybody in the county needs to know we paid off our short-term debt. We have purchased 2 new trucks. The others had, the old trucks have been around for 10 years or thereabouts. I don't think they have the money to buy trucks. We have deposited $75,000 into our depreciation. The last time that happened was 2008. So we actually have money in the bank to go forward. And we expect in the coming year, 2013, to renegotiate some contracts and save even more. Any questions?
Any questions of Chairman Miller?
I have no questions, just a comment. I would just like to commend you all on your efforts. I know I've attended several other board meetings since all the changes were made, and it's really pleasant to be in there and see that you all take the time and put in the effort to go through every detail with a fine-tooth comb. I know that you do, and I appreciate that.
Any other questions, Chairman Miller? You've got a copy of the budget request for the year 2013, $1,435,500. Do I hear a motion to approve the budget?
Make a motion, Judge.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Our keeper of the keys, Roger Ford.
Thank you, Judge. I was just coming for the court today. My contract with Advanced Health Care Partners is coming due as of the first of the year. We've had them for 12 months now. They've done a fantastic job for us. Really covers very well. I am asking though if we could add another day to my nursing. I've got a great nurse in there now. Of course, in the past 12 months, we went through 3 or 4 nurses for a couple of different reasons. With the hours that I'm providing now, the nurse I have now, she actually comes from Western State Hospital in Hopkinsville, so she's very knowledgeable of any psychiatric needs that our inmates might also need, which is very high. But it's so hard for me to be able to keep a nurse because of the hours that I'm willing to offer them, which is 24 hours right now. We're using them 4 days a week. I think that if I could get 30 hours a week out of her, which would be 6 5-hour days, and also she does not have enough time to cover the needs that we need right now. We are actually supposed to do, after a 14-day, after they're there 14 days, we're supposed to do a medical assessment on them, which we have not been able to do because we just don't have the time. So what I'm asking of the court, actually with the annual increase of our medical, it was going to go up to $102,000, $298 annually. To get 6 more hours a week out of her, 1 more day a week, it would actually go to $119,908 a year. That would be the max it would be. I'm still in a little negotiation with them. I would love to see me get this thing maybe a little bit cheaper. We're probably not talking a whole lot, but that would be the max it would be. So I'm asking the court that. I have got with Emily, and we've been able to find some money that should help me out through July, through the rest of the fiscal year. If you guys would approve that.
All right, you've heard the request of our jailer Roger Ford to increase the nurse's hours from 24 to 30, Rod?
Yes.
24 to 30 to give full coverage there at the jail. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second.
Emily?
Yes,
Where is that? You said you had some monies through the
yes, I've got a budget amendment
July.
in here for today. Roger we have already received over $12,000 from Graves County that over what we had budgeted, so I'm amending in that $12,000
To cover this.
to cover the medical, to increase his medical for
Okay,
that.
that's good.
Any other questions? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Brian Kurtzinger.
Good morning. Just have a couple items this morning. The first one would be an update on our ambulance purchase. We actually went, it was Thursday, to Lynn, Missouri. It's about 5.5 hours from here. It's on the other side of St. Louis to pick up our new truck. We took a copy of our specs and everything and went through it, and everything was built to specs, and the truck looked very well. So that kind of brings me to my next item would be our old truck that we're taking out of service. I know the coroner's office has contacted me with an interest in taking that new truck, and I'm perfectly okay with that. You know, in the past, we've been more than willing to take old trucks out of service and give them to agencies that could use them. So with the permission of the court, I would like to request that we, once this truck is taken out of service, would be to transfer it to the coroner's office.
All right, you've heard the request of our Director Brian Kurtzinger.
Make motion, Judge.
We have a motion, there's a second. Motion is second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. We have Mayor Randall Scott with us today from the city of Hardin, and we've got big doings going to be happening in Hardin about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Mayor, would you like to tell everybody what we're doing?
I just wanted to reiterate, I've invited everyone to come out this afternoon at 3 o'clock. We're going to have our ribbon cutting and open house, our new city hall building. We've been in about 3 or 4 weeks, trying to get some of the bugs worked out. Everybody's tickled or seems to be with it. It's working out real well for us. I'd like to invite everybody to come out this afternoon.
Is Dan happy yet?
He's coming around, Judge.
Okay.
I was
Dan don't like change, that's her.
I was telling someone earlier that he was, when we were moving from the old building, he had his head bowed and his hands like this. And I said, Dan, it's time to go. He said, I'm not ready to go yet. I said, well, you're going to have to go or sit here by yourself.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Plan to be there. Anyone else here to address the court? Yes, sir.
I was asked to come back, but I'm not on the program.
Yes, I've got it down here on old business.
Okay.
We've added it in. I have some correspondence and some in relation to your request to the court last week. I have a letter from Kenneth D. Collins. Said I would like to present myself for the position of 2nd District Constable to the court for review and consideration. I feel that as a lifelong resident of Marshall County and 29-year constituent of 2nd District, I have a vested interest in the lives of my fellow county residents. I am retired from General Tire and more recently from Kentucky Dam, where I was a 3rd-class wastewater treatment operator and district supervisor. I'm a former 2-year employee of the Marshall County Detention Center, where I served in the capacity of deputy jailer. I'm also a notary public and hold a concealed weapons license. I want to thank the court for reviewing my letter and look forward to the opportunity of serving the residents of Marshall County. I also had a letter, I think it's in here now, from Barry Darnell with the same request. I would like to be reappointed to the 2nd District Constable office. I served as constable for several years, and due to a family medical event with my son, I could not run for re-election. My son is now 2 years in remission, and I'm now free to serve. Thank you for your consideration of this matter, Barry Darnell. At the last meeting of the fiscal court, we tabled action on the office of constable. I don't know if you've had time to think about this or what.
Judge, in light of the fact there's 3 people interested, maybe we should just let the public choose who they want in the next election. If they want someone, I guess, we have to pick. Maybe let the people of the district choose who they want.
Are we required to fill the vacancy?
I don't think so, are you, Jeff?
Do what?
Are we required to fill the vacancy?
Well,
Here's the way that works. While there's a, I guess the statute, as with any position, anticipates that it would be refilled because it's constitutional office. Therefore, I think the statute anticipates that you would seek to refill.
It's been vacant how long?
Since the election, 3 years. 2 years. 2 years since the election, right?
Yeah, I guess so too.
Now, there have been times when no one ran in certain districts in my 38 years and it just stayed vacant. I don't think we ever appointed anybody, Terry, I'm not sure, I don't know what the statutes.
Well,
I think
But it
in
never
fact-
came, what I'm saying, it never came up.
Provides for a way to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily set out,
Yeah,
shall or.
of course, the other,
If I recall correctly, I looked at it a couple weeks ago, and just more as the manner in which it's being done.
yeah. Yeah, Tom was here last week, and addressed the court, is that right?
Last month.
Last month, Tom, sorry. Tom, of course, was deputy sheriff in Henderson County, prior to moving to Marshall County, so there's 3 people that have expressed an interest. Now, what you want to do, or wait till the next election, I don't know what
Well,
they have to do.
I can get you a formal opinion on that specific issue if you'd like. If it's, well, what I'll do, I'll get you an opinion on exactly how the procedure works and whether it's necessary, absolutely necessary, required. How about that?
I think we would have that with the holidays, but.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I've got all the stuff printed out. I'll just put it in a formal opinion.
So I'd make a motion that we table until the next meeting when we have the opinion from Jeff.
All right, second.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, from Jim LaFever, the Department of Highways, I have copies of the bridge inspection report and a map of the bridges inspected during the month of November 2012. Also included is a project and work candidate list for recommended repairs. The following list of all bridges with weight limits below 18 tons and the posting status of each. We only had one under 18 ton, that was the old Calvert Road. Been out there, been under the bridge, Russell and I have inspected it. We plan on asking the Department of Rural and Municipal Aid if they would do an 80-20 funding for the replacement of that bridge. It only went down to 14 ton, but in Mr. LaFever's letter, he said all substandard structures in Marshall County are in compliance, and it's got a place for me to sign and return the statement of compliance as soon as possible. Is there any questions on the report before I sign and send back? Have you been out there
Russell and I were doing
on that? Yeah. Okay. So I believe it would qualify, Misty, but we'll have to.
When we looked at it.
We've got
earlier.
pictures and everything to take up to the commissioner too. And Russell and I'll be meeting with him next month, Russell?
Yes.
Next month. So we'll, try to see his feelings on it. From the Kentucky Board of Emergency Medical Services, the Kentucky Board of Emergency Medical Services is providing the summary below of the current status of your county in the annual ambulance grant funding process. Any items identified as past due must be corrected by December 31st, 2013 to be eligible for fiscal year 2013 funding. We are in compliance. We've completed our 2010, 2011, everything's complete. And the 2012, the $10,000 grant, we just got the unit picked up, getting it equipped, so I assume we'll have to do paperwork on that too, Brian?
Yes, the way those grants work is they run either 1 or 2 years behind, I can't remember exactly which. So when I apply this time, I have to send the title for the ambulance that we bought last year.
Right.
So when I apply next year, I'll attach the title of the one that we bought this
This
year.
year.
So I sent that stuff in, I believe it was around July.
Yeah, it says we're complete on our, well, like KBEMS G1C, G1A, and substitute W9.
Yes,
Now, whatever that it
those
means.
are forms that we had to fill out to send in the
okay.
KBs.
All right. But it looks like everything's in order.
Yes.
So we're on target. Thank you. From Mike Edwards to members of the fiscal court, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Judge Miller and the fiscal court for recent renovations taking place at Big Bear Park. This is one of the best Kentucky Lake access points in the county. Usage continues to grow, and the update is much needed. Not only will our visitors enjoy the expansion, our local families will benefit as well. Once again, thank you for being so responsive to the concerns and the needs of our county. Sincerely, Mike Edwards. I guess all of you have heard on the news and noticed on Channel 6 the problem that seems to be developing over at Lake Barkley. The Corps of Engineers has made apparently a decision to restrict fishing below Barkley Dam and above the dam. This was without the knowledge of my friend Wade White, the Lyon County Judge Executive, or Chris Lasher, the Livingston County Judge Executive, and they've been pretty upset by it. Wade wanted me to pass this along. Attached is a Word document petition and a scanned copy of the letter sent to our representatives today. Please read the letter, as we hope this is a way forward to halt the construction of the barricade. Judge Chris Lasher and I put together what we consider to be a way forward, as we were not brought into this process, and there are many concerns that have not been heard. The process needs to be halted and reconsidered for many reasons, as I outlined in the letter. And I'll get copies of the letter that was sent to all of our congressional delegation and signed by Chris and Wade. They're very concerned about this because, as Chris and I talked on the phone, he said if they do it below Barkley, Kentucky Dam will be next. Now, there's a difference because Barkley Dam is a core project. Kentucky Dam is a TVA dam. I have seen nothing up to this point that TVA is considering this, but there's a lot of factors to involve. If someone should fall in from the bank, for example, how can your rescue boats get to them if there's a barricade running 700 to 1,500 feet down the river or above the dam? That's just one of the issues. Their recommendation or their protocols say that local governments should have an input. And according to Wade and Chris, they had no idea that this was going to happen until they read about it in the news and heard about it on Channel 6. So I even have a copy of their petition. We'll have it in the office if anyone wants to sign. All right, any other correspondence? Let's move into old business. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry, Misty. Ladies and gentlemen, you have had an opportunity to review the minutes of the November 30, 2012 meeting of the fiscal court, November 20th, I'm sorry, meeting of the fiscal court. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Make that motion, Judge.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Assistant Animal Warden, since the resignation of Dennis Tynes, we have been filling that position with Jimmy Tubbs. I talked with Jimmy. He is not interested in the position. He said he would continue to work with us until such time as we found someone. Mike Green had expressed an interest some time ago, and Mike, you're still interested as I understand it. I've known Mike for some time, and I think he would make an excellent assistant. Is there others that y'all have talked to, or?
Dennis Lovett, there's several,
De-
aren't there? Dennis Lovett, I know Mike and Dennis both put their applications in, but it seems like you told us last time, Mel, there was somebody else.
Did I not
There's
make
somebody
copies
else.
of those for y'all?
Yeah, and I didn't bring those. I didn't
I
either.
don't. Actually, Justin, do you have copies of those still? Okay.
I mean, we don't have to make a decision today, but we need to be thinking about this. We'll have another meeting right after the first of the year. Of course, we'll need to meet. I'm going to suggest we meet on Thursday because our next regular court meeting day falls on New Year's Day. And that would give us Wednesday to kind of prepare and then meet on Thursday if there's no objection, which would be the 3rd of January. Will that give us time to?
I'd personally like to have interviews. I know that
Okay.
we have several interested, several good candidates interested. We've also talked about law enforcement being an option, and so I'd like for us all to kind of lay all of our options on the table and look at what the preference is. And
I'd be happy to. Would you like to do those interviews following the court meeting, the first court meeting in January?
would that be okay with y'all?
That'd be all right with everybody?
We can get 'em
Kind of
scheduled.
set them for 1 o'clock?
I think that'd be good.
Okay, would you be available, Mike? Okay. All right. Then I need a motion to table this until the first meeting in January and to interview the candidates at that time.
Make that motion, Judge.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, at our last meeting, I told you of a proposal from the right-of-way consultant, Darwin Belt from Florence and Hutchinson. Sheriff Byers and I and Judge Telly and who else, Kevin, was that? Roger Ford and Jeff, you were at the meeting, talked to us about the widening of Kentucky 348 to 4 lanes between the Purchase Parkway and US 641. And they have offered to buy the property, which they showed us. I don't think it's going to bother us. Sheriff did have one concern, and that was some kind of a button to change that light, Sheriff, or is that already there, or? We wanted to make sure that would stay intact.
It looked like it was gonna be right close to where we was
But he
gonna have
said
to
it
move it or
wouldn't bu-
not, but he didn't think it would move it, but I don't know that for sure. Basically what it is, it's a device that we've had installed when they put that new stoplight up, so if we was to need to get out quickly, we can, we have a device that we can push. What it does, it makes the lights red all the way around except for our way, to where we can get out and get into traffic and, you know, nobody run over us and we not run over anybody. And that would be my only concern, because it looked like it was right close to it. We may have to move it, because it's in a very optimal spot right now where we've got it. But that's the only thing that I seen.
Well, and I'm assuming we could make our, offer to them contingent on if we have to move it, that they
Yeah, if they just pay for the installation
provide
and
the
moving of
cost
it,
of
that'd be fine,
moving
yeah.
that device. But the offer was $24,575 for that property. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve contingent upon
Replacement of the device. if
replacement of
needed.
the device we talked about. And it may not have touch, it may not,
I don't want that to be a deal breaker anyway. Reason why I say that is because they're gonna add a sidewalk as well.
right, which is
And
needed.
Which is needed, because we do have a young lady that's in a motorized wheelchair that comes through there, and I'm just fearful that somebody's gonna get her one of these days, and that sidewalk would just eliminate that fear altogether. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not an absolute, you know, deal breaker on that.
But if we could get them to
Yeah,
help
that
us.
would be
we'd
great, yeah.
be helpful. Okay, you've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Now we'll need to talk to Darwin and see what we need to do on that. From the Arts Commission, actually, this is from Emily. She has been meeting and talking with the Arts Commission. We need to discuss the Arts Commission loan and when they will repay us the debt. The Arts Commission is requesting that this debt be allowed to be reimbursed in arrears to allow them a longer time for fundraising. They would then reimburse us the latter part of June every year. On the downside, we'll be fronting the entire year's worth of payments, but on the upside, they will reimburse us in June at a time when our funds are low. It's a reimbursement, but what would be due is fronting the payments, and then they would reimburse us the total amount come June at a time when our funds are low and we need an infusion of cash. So I don't have a problem with it. Do you have a problem with it, Emily, doing it that way?
No, I do think that maybe you should include a stipulation where that if we were to get to a point where we could no longer do that we could request that they reimburse us what we had already paid in advance for them. Maybe have to switch to biannually or something like that, if we get into a situation where that would be something we would need.
Jeff, could you write something up to make that clear to the commission? All right. With that stipulation, do I hear a motion to approve the request?
Motion to approve, Judge.
Have a motion, is there a second? Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. UK Mobile Dental Clinic, that has been paid, is that correct, Emily?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this was sent on 11/27, and the health department has said next year they will pick up that cost. Any other old business? Let's move into new business. Administrative code. We tabled action on the administrative code some time back. You've all had time to review the draft. I have some sections that I made notes on. I hope you had gone through thoroughly the administrative code on section 3. Get to it. 2B, is that if the county judge is not present or able to preside, a majority of the magistrates, and that needs to be commissioners. We need to change that wording. To commissioners shall elect one of the members to preside. It's just a change in the wording, no big deal. In section 4, Section 4-4, Part C, no expenditures may be made in excess of revenues or for purchases or for purposes other than appropriated. I understand the purpose of that, but I don't know we live with it, within it. And can we? I mean, if we pass this, we're saying we're gonna stick with it.
Judge, there's quite a few places where I don't know if do we need to have just a special meeting to sit down and just talk about that?
Well, we talked about at the last meeting, scheduling a secondary to go through the whole thing. I was thinking.
Well, I'd hoped everybody had gone through it.
I've gone through it, I've just got, several pages that
Yeah.
we just, discuss.
Well, I've still got several.
I've marked all.
Well,
of
do
them.
you wanna, I mean, it's fine with me to have a
Want to be sure we get it right. I
special,
mean,
oh, yeah, I mean.
Probably the most
this
important
is something-
document we'll work on.
That's
for a while.
exactly right. This is something we're gonna live with.
Well, we can debate on this for a few hours. I'd make a motion that we table it until we have time to sit down collectively in a special meeting and deal with that.
All right?
Sometime in January, you think?
Yeah,
Whatever date's suitable.
I'd like to do it in January if we can.
We can set it at the next court meeting, maybe?
Well, maybe that afternoon. Be fine.
I mean, set it at that meeting. I don't
Oh,
know if we'll
okay.
have time. We're gonna be interviewing.
No, that's true.
That afternoon.
But you're gonna be here anyway, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
If we-
that may be
I'm
fine.
just trying to
We can
show
set
y'all
it for
on
that and
Yeah.
See
see
how
if
far
we
we
need
get.
to change it, yeah.
Yeah.
If we don't have time.
All right, we have a motion to table till early January and to have a special work session on the administrative code. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Aurora Ross Fire Department has submitted their budget. Jim McNeely, their chairman. They're looking at revenues of $110,575. Total available, $477,9364. Have y'all all got a copy of it?
I don't have a copy of that.
Okay. Well, it goes through all of their cash balance. Their budget for 2011, 2012 was $375,000. Their proposed budget is $350,000. Of course, they have the actual expenditures for 2010, 2011. Or their total funds for 2010, 2011 was $366,518.64. Of course, they have built their new building. Everything looks in order. Of course, we have to send this in to the Department for Local Government and State Auditor's Office as well. So I would would entertain a motion to accept the Aurora Ross Fire Protection District proposed budget for 2012, 2013.
Make that motion, Judge.
2013, I mean. Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Judge, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When we've looked at some of these budgets, we refer to it as accepting, and then, of course, sometimes we look at it and we say approving, and in some of the instances, specifically like with the refuse department, in one of the reports that was generated, it said that as a fiscal court, because we had their budget passed through, that we had approved it, which concerned me, because are we approving or are we accepting?
I would say we're accepting since they have a board of directors that,
I would think so too.
yeah,
So we're just accepting,
Accepting their
and
budget.
it's their responsibility to.
Exactly,
Okay,
to-
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, technically, they are required to file theirs with you and you
Right.
accept it.
We accept it.
They're not required to file one that necessarily that you
That we
agree with
approve.
everything with.
Right, I just wanted to make sure that I understood clearly.
I have an annual order setting the maximum amount for deputies and assistants of the county court clerk. Pursuant to KRS 64530, Section 3, the fiscal court shall fix annually the maximum amount, including fringe benefits, which the officer may expend for deputies and assistants. The fiscal court of Marshall County, in compliance with state law, hereby sets the maximum amount which the county clerk, specified county clerk of Marshall County may expend from fees during calendar year 2013 at $575,000 for deputies, assistants, and other employees. The maximum amount as set includes all amounts paid from fees for full-time salaries and wages, overtime wages, part-time salaries and wages, vacation, and sick time. $575,000. What is your pleasure?
Motion approved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner
Does
Gold.
that compare to the number from 12? Is that the same?
Real close.
I'm not
sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was, I was thinking it was the same, or right at it.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Now you'll need to sign this fiscal clerk. The county clerk's budget he is anticipating receipts of $9,270,000, total disbursements of $9,085,000, with an expected excess fees to come back to the county of $185,000. He has broken out all of his budget estimates. State fees for service, $13,000, fiscal court, $9,500, license and transfers, $1,360,000, usage tax, $3,700,000, tangible personal property tax, $3,260,000, clerk lien fee, $20,000, fishing game, $3,000, marriage, $7,500, deed transfer tax, $80,000, delinquent tax, $575,000, deeds and easement contracts, $31,000, real estate mortgages, $48,000, chattel mortgages and financing, $82,000, power of attorney, $1,200, all other recordings, $70,000, Copy work, 3,000, postage, 3,000, return check fees, 1,800, interest earned, 2,000, for a total revenue anticipated 9,270,000. I would recommend approval of the county clerk's proposed budget. What's your pleasure?
Motion approved.
Have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Today is the 18th, is that correct?
Yes.
That should be 2012. We have an ordinance, and this is a yearly thing to make amendments to the county budget. An ordinance, this is ordinance 2012-09, an ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof. Whereas the County of Marshall has received additional funds. Now be it ordained by the fiscal court of Marshall County that Section 1, the annual budget for the fiscal year 2012-2013 is amended to energy efficient grant, $7,647.13, animal shelter spay neuter grant, $1,800, ambulance equipment grant, $40,600, travel reimbursement, $112.29, insurance proceeds, $13,410.32, telephone reimbursement, $660, juvenile reimbursement, $925, Water Vision 2020 grant, $19,775, Road Department surplus property, $774. FEMA DR 1818 distribution, $12,399.20. Opal Lane road work, $120,000. State-funded paving projects, $340,000. Workers' compensation reimbursement, $19,181. Jail contracts with other counties, $12,000, making the total increase in revenue $589,283.94. Our expenditure account, reserves general $39,277.33, animal shelter spay neuter $1,800, ambulance grant equipment $40,006, travel reimbursement $112.29, buildings and repairs $12,391, OEM telephone expenses $660, ambulance parts and repairs $1,018.52, juvenile housing $925, Water Vision 2020 expenses $19,775, reserves road $774, paving Opal Lane $120, state paid paving, and this is reimbursement for paving already done, $340,000, jail medical care $12,000, for total expenditures of $589,283.94. Section 2, the amounts added to the revenue and expenditure accounts in Section 1 are for governmental purposes. Approved by the fiscal court on this 18th day of December, 2012. This is the first reading of ordinance 21209. What is your pleasure?
Motion approved.
I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Do I need to sign this now or wait till the second reading?
Emily, what is the increase in the expenditure on the other buildings repairs, the 12,000? What is that?
We had a claim, I believe it's for the sheriff's office, where lightning struck, some equipment that you all had. There was a lightning, so we received, that amount, $12,391.80 from KCO for the repairs of that.
insurance reimbursement.
So
Okay.
I am, adding that back into that expense account because that expense account is almost all used up now because of this big expense in there that I hadn't received the funds back into.
Okay.
Hopefully this won't happen again. That's the second time we've had that repaired. There's a grounding issue at the tower at Calvert, and that has been corrected as well, so hopefully that won't ever happen again. I think KCO would lose their sense of humor if we turned it in a third time.
Pretty sure.
Next, I have a memorandum of understanding between the Department of Fish and Wildlife and Marshall County Fiscal Court. This is an agreement sent to me by Paul Reister. Let me just read it to you, okay? This is the boat ramp operated with the Department of Fish and Wildlife, one at Sled Creek and one below Kentucky Dam, the tailwaters. This memorandum of understanding is entered into by and between Marshall County and the Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources. Whereas the county is of the opinion that maintenance of the Sled Creek boat ramp and Kentucky Dam tailwater boat ramp, together with the parking areas and adjacent land, the boat ramps, is in the best interest of the county and in the public interest. And whereas Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources has a license agreement with the Tennessee Valley Authority for the Sled Creek boat ramp, and whereas KDFWR has an easement with the Tennessee Valley Authority for the Kentucky Dam tailwater boat ramp, and whereas Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources requires the assistance of the county in maintaining the boat ramps, and now therefore, in consideration of the mutual covenants expressed herein, Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources and the county hereby agree as follows. Section 1. Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources shall provide law enforcement patrols at the property on a regular basis. Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife shall be solely responsible for capital construction or capital improvements in the boat ramps, provided, however, Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resource is not under any obligation to undertake any construction, repair, or improvements. And the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources shall be solely responsible for determining if construction, repairs, or improvements shall be undertaken. Here's our obligation. The county shall keep the boat ramps clean of any trash, waste, and other debris that may accumulate. The county shall keep the boat ramps free of debris and sediment so as to permit the ramp to be used by the general public. The county shall mow the boat ramps and keep noxious weeds from accumulating along the sides of the boat ramp, entrance road, and parking area. The county shall perform maintenance inspections of the boat ramps at least once every 2 weeks, and the county shall submit a written report of the maintenance inspections to Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources on a monthly basis. The county shall assist Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources in providing law enforcement patrols on the site. The county agrees that no attempt shall be made by the county and or any of its agents, employees, or concessionaires to forbid the lawful use of the property by the by the public on the premises. terms and conditions of this agreement shall be binding and shall ensure to the benefit of the successors and assigns respectively of the parties. This provision shall not be construed to permit assignment by any party of any of its rights and duties under this agreement, which assignment shall be prohibited except with the prior written consent of all parties hereto. The agreement is effective upon the date of execution of all parties. Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources shall have the right to cancel this MOU without cause by giving written notice to the county. That's big of them. No part of this agreement shall constitute either directly or indirectly a waiver of sovereign immunity granted under the Kentucky Constitution, Section 231, and the United States Constitution, 11th Amendment. This agreement shall be construed in accordance with the laws of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Any litigation brought in connection with this agreement shall be brought in Franklin Circuit Court. The county agrees that Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources, the Finance Administration Cabinet, the Order of Public Accounts, and the Legislative Research Commission, or their duly authorized representatives, shall have access to any books, documents, papers, records, or other evidence provided to the contracting agency. The Finance Administration Cabinet, the Auditor of Public Accounts, and the Legislative Research Commission, which are directly pertinent to the contract, shall be subject to public disclosure regardless of the proprietary nature of the information, unless specific information is identified and exempted and agreed to by the Secretary of the Finance and Administration Cabinet as meeting the provisions of KRS 61878, Section 1, subsection C, prior to the execution of the contract. Secretary of the Finance Administration shall not restrict the public release of any information that would otherwise be subject to public release if a state government agency were providing the service. What it boils down to, they want us to keep it clean, keep it mowed, keep noxious weeds out of it, write a report every 2 weeks, which I'm sure Russell is jumping up and down in order to do.
We just have to write the report monthly. Got to look at it every 2 weeks. That shouldn't be any problem.
I think it would be proper that the Commissioner of the First District be placed in charge of this assignment.
What brought this on?
I don't have a clue. This came from Reister. I mean, we've tried to help them. They've called from time to time. Want to know if I'll send the refuse department down and empty their trash cans and clean up a little bit. We've done that. We've mowed, have we not, Russell? Time or two. But I mean,
We don't mow it as an I mean, we don't mow it as on a regular basis?
No.
Okay, I didn't know.
I mean, what they're doing here is binding us to do all kinds of things.
I understand.
I'm gonna yield to y'all, but I'm certainly not for it.
Well, I'm a little confused if they say that they are solely responsible for all of those things, then why do we have any say in what maintenance needs to be done? I mean, they completely reserve the right to be in charge of all that and to decide whether or not they want to fix any of it.
But no. They want us to mow the grass, pick up the garbage, any litter. Folks,
It's your district, Bob.
Other obligation to provide law enforcement.
Yep.
There's far and few between for those guys. I mean, they're short-handed just like everybody else. I don't know that they will be able to meet that obligation, just to be quite honest with you.
Well, I don't mind helping them out when they call, but I don't want to be under any contractual obligation to
Right,
do
we've
that.
just done it on a.
We've done it
as-needed
as a
basis.
convenience to them and a help to them, and
Yeah.
I want to continue that. We have our own boat docks and our own county boat ramps that we take care of solely.
Yeah.
And as
Always
far as
have.
from a law enforcement aspect, we don't mind assisting them and helping them either, but I wouldn't mind having some of that seat money that they get, that they took away from Water Patrol when they took that over. That's something I'd like to discuss with their commissioner as well.
Well, they're gonna solely take care of the law enforcement part of it, as long as you'll help them.
That's what I'm saying.
They'll all take care of all capital improvements as long as it's what they want to do.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Well,
Okay.
I think we need to refer this to the county attorney to make the proper, reply back to the Department of Fish and Wildlife and say thanks, but no thanks, be honest with you. That we'll try to help them when we
Help 'em when we
can, but
can.
we're not gonna go into any contractual obligation. Do I have a motion to that effect?
Make motion.
Have a motion, is there a second? Motion and second, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed, no, motion carried. Mr. Attorney, I'll yield to you. All right. Treasurer's report, Emily.
For the month ending November 30th, we had a book balance in general fund of $959,701.33. Road fund, $582,028.26. Jail fund, $99,630.65. Grant fund, $6,526.87. 911 fund, $187,852.52. Occupational tax administrator, $1,380,034.52, and the veterans van fund, $2,620.96, for a total of all funds of $3,218,395.11.
All right, you heard the report of the treasurer. Do I hear a motion to accept subject to audit?
Motion accept.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Payroll accounts receivable report, Emily.
I did this report a week or so ago. As of December 5th, the sheriff's office owed us $83,290.79, and that was all at that time.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the accounts receivable report?
Motion approved.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. We did have a schedule for a bid opening, but Melanie says it was in the paper wrong, or we put it in wrong, or something.
The wrong date was on it.
The wrong date was on it. So this was on the rescue squad truck. I guess we'll do that at the next meeting.
We still haven't received any bids on it, so we can re-advertise.
All right, we want to make sure we comply with the law. We need to have an executive session. This is on property acquisition. Our park director is going to meet with us on this, right, Larry? Okay. If we could have a quick executive session. They're never quick. I need a motion before you jump up and run off.
Motion, executive session.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye, all right. Let's call the meeting back into regular session. We have been offered some property. At this time, we are not, I think consensus, the court, we're not interested at this time. We might take another look if the price was brought down or some other circumstances. So we'll be talking further about it because there's been some other property that has also come available that the court may or may not be interested in. Animal shelter report, animals in the pen as of 10/31/55, animals brought in by wardens 64, animals brought in by citizens, 64 animals brought in by citizens, 30 brought in by the wardens, 94 total, animals adopted out 95, animals in foster care 2, animals reclaimed 1, animals euthanized 1, animals in the pen as of 11/30/2012, and in foster care 54. We had donations of $1,330.50, adoption fees of $1,883, total money received $3,213.50. You've all had an opportunity to review the bills. I would entertain a motion to approve the bills.
Motion to approve the bills, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Is this something they need to look at today?
No,
or-
that's with the admin policy.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, at this time, I would like to recess the meeting of the fiscal court so that we can go into a public hearing. We have two public hearings scheduled, one for Opal Lane, one for Samuel Drive. Do I hear a motion to go into recess for the fiscal court?
Make the motion, Judge.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.